What's up guys, welcome back to your Heroclix headquarters. Today we're going to take a look at the top 5 Namor Heroclix. Surprisingly enough, we did get asked to do the top 5 Namor. He is not a character I would have suspected would be asked to be covered so soon, but he is pretty cool. But as always, we're going to exclude the extra superpowered versions of them. So no Phoenix Force Namor this time. That's going to be another list some other day. But yeah, without further ado, let's check it out. Alright, so coming in at number 5, we have the Namor from the X-Men Regenesis event set. This guy is pretty awesome. As you can see here, he's got a pretty cool sculpt jumping out of the water, punching there. Nothing too special, just he does have the trait that they all had from this set, where if he's played on a Utopia themed team, you get to flip his card over, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Atlantean, he's got the dolphin symbol and regeneration, but only if he occupies water terrain. And then Imperious Rex, charge, flurry, and when Namor uses charge, you may choose to not half his speed, but if you do, he must move in a direct path. So that's pretty awesome. He does start out at 100 points with a 9 movement, 11 attack, 17 defense, and 3 damage. And then at 70 points, he just loses 1 on his movement and attack. He does have the flight symbol as well as the trait giving him dolphin symbol. X-Men team ability kind of helps with the fact that he doesn't have any kind of willpower, but his defenses are a little bit low, mainly being 17s for most of it, and not really going above a 3 damage for most of it either. Some sidestep and close combat expert at the end is a nice combo as well, but I really just like this guy to get that full movement charge flurry in. You can, if you TK him and then, you can get like a really far movement with that charge and everything. And then if you take a look at the other side of his card, it just gives him flurry and charge, but do not have speed. So if you play him on the Utopia theme team, then you basically just don't have to move in a direct path. You can just full move charge flurry, which is pretty awesome. The only thing stopping this guy from being further on the list really is lack of willpower and kind of just average stats. But the full movement charge flurry is always great. So he's coming in at number 5. And coming in at number 4, we have the Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Namor. Honestly, this is still probably my favorite sculpt of any Namor. I mean, look at that. It's pretty creative, I think. You got that splash and the water ripple effect and all the bubbles of him diving in there and about to shoot out and fly around. It's pretty freaking awesome looking. So definitely 10 out of 10 on the sculpt for this guy. But taking a look at what he can do, he's got a trait, Invade Your Territory. Namor ignores opposing barrier and smoke cloud markers for movement purposes and removes them from the game when moving through them. And leave behind a bit of mine. When Namor or another friendly character uses the Invade Your Territory trait, after actions resolve, you may place a water terrain marker in any of the squares from which a barrier or smoke cloud marker was removed. So kind of nice if you are playing against an opponent that has some barrier or smoke cloud. You can just move right through it, and then you get to create some free water for him, which is pretty nice. 140 points. He is pretty expensive. He does have actually a really long dial, and he also has this awesome damage power that says if Namor occupies a square of water terrain and has 0 or 1 action tokens, you can give him a free action and place him in another square of water terrain within 6 squares. So pretty awesome there. If you do happen to play on a map with some water, it gives him a lot of freedom of movement. Just being able to hop 6 squares away into some other water is pretty great. And pretty good opening stats too. He's got the older cards, so you can't really see it. So we'll just take a quick look at the dial. Starts with a 9 movement with charge, 11 attack with super strength, 18 with invulnerable, and a 4 damage with that special damage power. Flight and indomitable is always nice. And like I said, he does have a very long dial. He gets some flurry there in the middle, some perplex, goes to some sidestep and close combat expert. Yeah, so pretty long dial. And best sculpt ever. So for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have here the Namor from the Civil War event. This guy was actually a prize figure. I love the sculpt on this guy, that awesome shell throne that he's just chilling on with his robe. Freaking awesome looking. And I love what this guy can do. So he starts out, he does have the dolphin symbol, Indomitable, some sidestep, some invuln, and some close combat expert. But what this guy really does, he's not much of a fighter to begin with, but he does have a trait, King of Atlantis. Other friendly characters with the Atlantis keyword modify attack value by 1, and Namor can use leadership. So he gets traded leadership and gives all other friendly Atlantis characters +1 to their attack, which is awesome. Then he has a special on his attack power that gives him give Namor a power action to place adjacent an Atlantean warrior bystander, or give Namor a double power action to place adjacent 2 Atlantean warrior bystanders. You may not use this power if there are more than 4 Atlantean warrior bystanders on your force. So the cool thing about this is it says you can't use this if there's more than 4, but you can literally just give him a double power action to make 2, next turn clear, next turn give him a double power action to make 2, next turn clear, and then on your turn after that, you have 4. As long as you don't have more than 4, you can still give him another double power action to make 2 more. So you can actually wind up with 6 of those things on the map all at once. And you can take a look here at what they do. They have a trait that just says that they have the Atlantis keyword so that they get the +1 attack from him, and then that their move actions don't count against your action total, which is nice to just move them around without having to worry about it. They do have some charge, some combat reflexes, and some close combat expert, as well as, of course, the dolphin movement symbol. And the cool thing about that is actually in the Avengers versus Defenders set, they did give us a generic Atlantean warrior figure, and the cool thing about him is that he does have the exact same dial. So yeah, if you can see that there, he does have actually the exact same stats on his first or last click. So I think, yeah, his middle click there is a little bit different, but you can just bring him on click 1 or on click 3 and click him to KO, whatever. I thought it was pretty cool that they did that. So if you do get some of these Atlantean warrior not bystanders, some Atlantean warrior figures from Avengers Defenders War, you can kind of just use them as a substitute for his bystander tokens. Now, they don't have the same trait, so you kind of just got to ignore all of that. But they are also good just to play with Namor, so I recommend getting some just for that reason alone. But yeah, this Namor by himself is really awesome. After he goes from that sidestep close combat expert, you get to some good, charge, super strength, and some empower there, of course, also really helps for any of your remaining Atlantean warriors. And yeah, good dial length, a little regen there at the end, doesn't hurt. Yeah, but for all those reasons, this guy's coming in at number 3. Alright, and my number 2 pick for Namor is going to be the rare from Avengers, Black Panther, and the Illuminati. Again, pretty awesome sculpt on him, jumping out the water with his trident this time. One thing about Namor is they do tend to give him some really awesome sculpts a lot of the time. But taking a look at what he does, he starts out with a trait, Bearer of the Power and Time Gems, which for the option of +5 points, he can start the game with either the Power or the Time Gem equipped, and he has some special powers that deal with both of them. He also starts with a trait that says, Rule as the world burns. When an opposing character rolls for leadership and the result is a 1 or a 2, you can remove an action token from Namor. So if your opponent has some bad leadership rolls, you get to remove action tokens from him, which is always helpful if you remember it. I feel like the few times I've used him, either my opponent didn't have leadership or I just totally forgot about this trait, but it is really helpful if you can remember it. But then he also starts with a movement power that gives him charge and flurry, but only if he has the time gem equipped. So just a note there, it does give him charge, but then it only gives him flurry if he has the time gem equipped. If you don't know what the time gem does, it will give him probability control as well as a +1 to range, which won't really matter because he's got 0. But mainly for the prob is really nice. And if you roll a 10 or higher, then your opponent can't re-roll your rolls. So it's pretty nice to have that prob, and as well as the flurry with his charge. And then on his damage, if you play him at his lower point line, he starts with this damage power that gives him Battle Fury. And if he attacks with the power gem equipped and targets only characters with a printed range value of 5 or more, modify his damage value by +1, and damage dealt is penetrating. So this is really awesome because the power gem will already give you a +1 to damage, as well as close combat and range combat expert. And again, if you roll a 10 or better, then you just do an extra penetrating damage. So if you want to play him at 75 for that charge, super strength, and potential to deal like 5 penetrating damage, even without an object, to somebody with a 5 or more range is pretty awesome. Also, giving him the Battle Fury is really nice, especially with how much shape change is going around right now. But I do also like the 110 point line, although again, you will be paying an extra 5 points on either of those lines if you want to start with the gems. But for that charge, flurry, and prob is pretty nice, and some empower as well. Flight and Indomitable, of course, are always great, as well as some flurry and regen there at the end. Flurry with a 12 attack, 4 damage is pretty great for a last click. So I do like this guy a lot for all those reasons. Probably also because one of the main things I think of Namor is playing him with some Illuminati characters. So I do usually go for this guy. So for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 2. But before we get to our number 1 pick, we're going to take a look at a couple of quick honorable mentions. So starting us off with the honorable mentions, we have the Namor from the Avengers vs. X-Men set. Yeah, this guy's pretty good, but downside being he is just way too many points. He's coming in at either 225 or 150 points on his lowest style, which is honestly just way too many points. Slightly above average stats, but they do dip pretty quick. It is nice that he does have improved movement characters, however. I do love to see that on close combat figures, because then you can just change targets super easily in the middle of a fight. Imperious Rex, when Namor is hit with an attack or given a second action token, you can put a rage token on this card. Before Namor rolls for an attack, you may remove a rage token from this card, and if you do, then the attack deals penetrating damage. So, pretty cool way to give him some penetrating damage. He does have X-Men team ability as well to kind of help heal him up if you need to, as well as a special defense power that gives him toughness, and when he occupies water terrain, he can use regeneration. And when it's not your turn, opposing characters can't draw a line of fire to him. So that part is actually really cool, but he only really gets that towards the end there, and then he also goes on the team base. So just take a quick look at his dial. He does have some flight and some Indomitable. Pretty good stats and powers. Do like to see that precision and Battle Fury combo there. And like I said, he doesn't really get that special defense there till those last few clicks. But lots of flurry, lots of, charge super strength. And of course, the potential to make any of his attacks deal penetrating damage. He is a powerhouse, but sadly, he's just too many points for today's game. So just an honorable mention for now. But of course, you can't talk about Namor without talking about the OG Secret Invasion Namor. This guy pretty much is the gold standard for what Namor has become in Click's form. He does have the Defender's team ability, 150 points, so pretty expensive, but he was definitely well worth it once upon a time. The dolphin symbol there, lack of willpower, does kind of suck again, but taking a look at his card, he has a special movement power, gives him charge, flurry, and the flight ability. Always great to see. And then special on his defense he gets later. If he occupies water terrain, he can use regeneration. So they've given that also to a lot of Namors recently. And then he also gets a special on his damage that he can use leadership, and he can use it normally, or on a result of 4 to 6, you can add 2 actions to your action total this turn. And but both actions have to be given to friendly characters with the Atlantis keyword. So if you're playing him on an Atlantis team, then that can come in handy. You can kind of make a swarm team out of it. He does have some pretty strong stats too. I meant to take a look at that. 10 movement with that charge flurry, 11 attack, some super strength, which you used to be able to use super strength and flurry together. Not so much anymore. You can at least use it for the knockback. 18 invulnerable and 4 damage. So yeah, that was kind of the thing. You could like charge up in there, 5 squares. Swing with an 11 attack, hit for 6 damage with a heavy, and then another 4 damage with your second flurry attack. Pretty good back in the day. Doesn't really work that way anymore. You know, just a quick look through his dial. Click, click, click. Some exploit there. And yeah. Stays pretty fairly consistent, even by today's standards, honestly. Not bad. Yeah, so pretty strong Namor. Like him a lot. Yeah, the only other Namors I'd really give a quick honorable mention to are the one that's like half on fire from Earth X. That one's pretty good. Limited keyword choice. That's why I kind of got rid of mine. And I don't yet have the unpainted version of this guy's scope. That one's alright too. But without further ado, let's see what number 1 is. And swimming his way to the number 1 spot is, of course, the Namor from Captain America and the Avengers, the new Chase. This guy has, again, a pretty sweet sculpt. Nice to see this like cool kind of armored look. Again, Defender's team ability is always nice to see. And he comes with this cool water marker that he uses for his effects. So we'll take a look at what he can do. The first trait that he has, Avenging Son of Atlantis, says Namor starts the game with the flood marker in his square. The flood marker is water terrain. Smoke cloud as free, but to generate water terrain markers instead of hindering terrain markers. And then free, place the flood marker in Namor's square. So he's going to actually start the game with the flood marker in his square. It counts as water terrain, so even if you like lose map and you don't get a bunch of water terrain, he's always going to bring his own water with him. And it's a free action to just move it into his square every time after he moves up. And then also having that smoke cloud as free, don't forget that it is still technically smoke cloud, even if it changes the terrain that it generates. So opposing characters occupying those markers will get a -1 to their attack. So do keep that in mind as we continue on to his next trait, Master of the Seven Seas, dolphin symbol, and friendly characters with the dolphin symbol or who share a keyword with Namor modify attack +1 if making a close attack while occupying water terrain. So that's a really great combo with, of course, his free smoke cloud that makes water terrain. Usually best for, Atlantis or Avengers teams, but, Defenders, Illuminati, Ruler, I mean, even Cabal and Invaders aren't too bad. He's got lots of good keywords there, so lots of good combos you can do with just throwing out his free smoke cloud to make the water terrain, and if you put it on under an opposing character as well as, in front of them, so when your friendlies charges up, they get a +1 to their attack. And then your opponent's going to get a -1 to their attack on their turn when they try to counterattack. So pretty awesome there, as well as the fact that he will always get a +1 defense against range attacks while he occupies water, since he does have that dolphin symbol as well. And it's just nice that he always will be in water terrain, basically, especially for his special defense power that says toughness, regeneration, but only if he occupies water terrain. Again, there should be no reason he shouldn't occupy water terrain, since as a free action you can bring it to you every turn. And then taking a look at his dial, this guy's dial is just way better than most Namors for like half the points. 75 or 50. He also has flight and indomitable, 10 movement with charge, 12 attack with quake, 17 with invincible, and 4 damage with leadership. So he's capable of doing quite a bit of damage for only 75 points. Has a pretty long 7 clicks of life there, especially considering all the damage reducers he has. Even at 50 points, not too bad, considering that he is friendly to himself. So he will get that same +1 to attack for making close attacks while on water terrain, because he is friendly to himself, so you can think of that 12 attack is probably going to be a 13, and that 11 is probably going to be a 12. pretty easy. And then going into some sidestep close combat expert there in the middle, and some flurry with Battle Fury is of course nice to see at the end as well. Biggest drawback to this guy is having just a 17 defense to open with. Defender's team ability can help with that quite a bit though, but do be careful, because I have seen this guy go down several times because he does way too much for the team to just let him sit there and keep doing it. So he's a big target, and he does not have enough defenses for your opponent to think, oh, maybe I don't want to attack him because, you know, he's got like a 19 defense and like 3 rollouts. No, he's nothing like that. He's super easy to hit, so do be careful, especially 1 outwit and 1 good attack, and this guy will go down pretty quickly. So if you just keep a nice defender next to him, or maybe you got a wild card that maybe has like a 18-19 defense that can help keep him defended, or even equipping him with something that, you know, gives him some type of extra layer of defense, like shape change or whatever, would be great and would definitely be a huge help to him. But yeah, like I said, for all those reasons, he's going to come in at number 1. He's just, you know, like I said, about half the points of most Namors, and has a lot of the same damage capability, as well as just giving the team a huge help with all the water that he generates. So he's going to be my number 1 Namor. Alright guys, so that does it for this top 5 list. As always, let me know in the comments what you think of my list and what you guys would like to see on our next top 5 list. And if you enjoyed this list, make sure you smash that like button for me, and don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future lists. And of course, thank you to this month's Patreon patrons. Take a look in the description if you'd like to help support the channel. You can see your name here in the credits. And yeah, well, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.